What I'm doing is making places. When I first started working, people were always asking me about architecture, and I said, well, you know, there's no bathrooms in these. I mean, it's not really architecture. I'm just making, you know, I'm just making places. So this is the changing room, and that's where you would sit on the long bench, and then you put your clothes in these little areas here. And then after you'd gotten undressed and got into your bathing suit, you would go into the hot room. You'd go back out through here and go through the passageway, and you go in there and you take a hot bath, hot shower. And then from here, then you go into the cold pool. And after a while in the cold pool, you come here and you get hot again. And then after you're hot again, you go back in the cold pool. People like to do that. I think it's terrible. When I get to see the work realized, it's thrilling. It's really thrilling. I mean, to walk inside of it, it's great. I love when I can go to it and see how big it gets. I actually like stuff that you can't quite place in time. It can look like the future, and it can also look ancient. Things like Stonehenge. I mean, there's things like around, like there's old towers, places. I mean, they could have been, like very future towers. And I like that feeling. It's probably what I hope most, to evoke in my own work. So this is the drawing for the corner chair. That's showing the side view, and that's the isometric one of it. It's extremely planned out in advance. I have to know precisely how much wood I'm going to need, and so I really have to figure out the project completely. After I've made the drawings, I actually make a whole bunch of sheets that are part of the drawing, showing how each layer gets, the layout of the boards on each layer as it goes up. That goes, and then that goes, and that goes, and that, as you go up.
So you're good at math.
Yeah, and it runs in my family. It's funny, it's just, it's not hard math. It's really addition. A little bit of division, but it's not that complicated. But it seems like my brother's like that, and his kids are like that, like all of us. And my mother, at the very end, when she really barely could do anything, if you gave her a column of figures, she could add that up. I started making art fairly late in life, and it was all about that. I didn't have to draw a figure, because I had no idea how to do that. My boyfriend had a Fulbright. He was a painter. And I was still making things, but I wasn't an artist. I was just making things. I was told that if my passport said I was an artist, that there were all these things I'd be able to get into in Europe. So with great trepidation, even though I knew I wasn't an artist, I said I was an artist. But while I was there was a lot of time, and I did a lot more work, and I don't know, it was just, one day I wasn't an artist, and another day I was an artist. So I was in my 40s when I first showed work. I mean, at first I was making things in cardboard, because when I first moved here, there was lots of cardboard in the streets. But then I wanted to make something more permanent. And wood was really the only thing that I felt, and probably still feel, that I could control. I started making shapes where they were slatted. And the reason they were slatted was that it meant I didn't have to put wood in between. It was about saving money, but it looked great because light went through it, and it made, great shadows on the floor. Order is important. It's very important. I can't stand chaos, is what it is. I really can't, and I think the bulk of the population is comfortable with lots of little, stuffed bears sitting around and stuff. And I actually can't stand it. I think a lot of people get uncomfortable here. I think it's too neat for some people. It's not that neat. Look, there's things sitting around. It's not that neat, but I don't know. Have you seen my bathroom?
No.
Oh, I love my bathroom. I actually like rules. I think about being told, you know, something has to fit in a space or something has to serve a function, and that's a turn on actually. It makes me just think another way.